Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are tackling a popular topic, Docker. Now, it can seem kind of overwhelming at first when you are starting to get into the world of Docker, but don't worry. In this video, we'll learn about what Docker is, how it works, and we will even get our hands dirty by installing it and building a image for a node.js application. So let's start by learning what Docker is. So let's say you have developed your first Node.js application. You're starting to learn about web development and you created your first Node.js application. Now you want to actually share this project with your friends. But when you actually do share the code, your friend is unable to run the project because he does not have the right dependencies or the libraries installed in his own system. Now, to ensure that this does not happen, Docker was developed. So, Docker is a containerization tool that bundles up all the code, libraries, images, and everything that your project uses into a single image. We can create our own images or we can use images that are already available on the Docker Hub. So we can go to Docker Hub, and when we search it, you can see that there are a number of different images available. There is Cubescape, Ambassador, Grafana, and there's Nginx, Alpine, Node, and Mongo. These are all the different types of images that are available. So let's start by installing Docker. You can visit the docker.com to install it, and when you scroll down docker.com, you are met with this option, download Docker. Click on get started and you will be presented with three options. The first one would be Docker Desktop for Mac, Docker Desktop for Windows, and Docker Desktop for Linux. Now I'm using a Windows machine, so I will be using Docker Desktop for Windows, but you should download Docker Desktop according to your own OS. So I'll click on Docker Desktop for Windows and Docker Desktop for when I click on this, a download will start, but I don't actually have to download. I've already installed it, so I will not download it. Now when you download it, you will actually need to create a new account for Docker. So create a new account and open the Docker Desktop UI, which will look something like this. Now these are all the containers, images, and everything is here. So you can explore a bit, or as I like to call it, click around and find out. And if you don't understand all of this, it's fine, you don't really need to right now, but just understand containers, images, and everything. Okay, so let's start with our demo. So for our demo, we are actually gonna utilize AI. We're gonna use Gemini, and I've already asked Gemini to give me a basic Node.js application. Give me the code for a basic Node.js application, and here is the code. I actually don't really know about JavaScript that much, so it is really easy for me to just copy and run it. So when I copy this code, we can copy this code and you can learn more about how this works. You can run it also teaches you how you can run the application or save the code in a file, open a terminal, run the command node app.js, and you should see the message server listening on port 3000 in the terminal. Open your web browser or visit localhost 3000. You should see the hello world message displayed. Okay, let's test for ourselves if the application is running or not. So we have already copied it, and when we open our Docker demo, so this is an empty folder, and I will actually create a new file. I can open with code, and okay, so as you can see, the code is actually not here. And when I create a new file, I can name it anything, index.js, or as they wanted me to, app.js. Let's just name it app.js. So when I name it app.js, it will create a file. Let's just wait for it to create. Yeah, so it created a file, app.js, and we can copy and paste the code. So we are able to paste it and save it. Now we can open a terminal, new terminal, and we are able to see if the application is running or not. But we actually have to perform some tasks on our own. So the first one would be to initialize npm init. If you do not have npm installed in your own system, you can search how you can install npm. Okay, so when we type npm init y, this will initialize npm in this repository. And row 2, so yeah, our package.json file was formed. This is really needed to actually run the application, and since we have it, now we can actually run the command, that is npm install, to install the dependencies. So we're gonna run npm install. We don't need to run express. When we type on npm install, it will update, it will download the dependencies. Since I have already installed them in my system, it only updated it. You will install it, it will take some time, but not that much. And we actually, now you can run your application. So we can do node app.js. So when we type it, we see the server is listening on port 3000. So when we go to our localhost 3000, we can see hello world is here. So as you can see, we needed to perform a lot of commands to run it for ourselves, and this is for the most basic application possible for node.js. And our friend would also need to use all these commands before running the application. So let's see how Docker can actually help us. So we have our application, and to create our image, we actually need to create a new file called Dockerfile. And Dockerfile, all you can see no source image provided. It is detecting that the syntax is not correct for the Dockerfile. So Dockerfile actually needs a lot of different things. For example, it first of all needs a from. We can provide a base image, node 20. So this will use node image that is available on Docker Hub with the latest tag, so node 20. After this, we actually need to create a work directory which will contain all the files. So we can create a simple directory called work.app/app, and after this we will type copy like this. So we have written two full stops. So the first full stop is actually to copy all the files that are actually available here, app.js, package.log.json and package.json. It will copy all of these files and it will paste all of these files inside our work directory that we just created. After this, we will type run npm install. Since we want to actually use our dependencies, so it will run npm install and it will use all the dependencies. So that's it. And after this we need to expose a port. So as we know from the example that uh, we are exposing port 3000, so we can just type expose port 3000, and after that we just need to type cmd. If you are not understanding this completely, it's fine. This is the basic structure of a Docker file. You need to provide a base image, you need to provide a directory, you need to copy the files into the directory that you just created. You need to run the commands that will install all the dependencies. For example, if we were to use Python, we would type our Python dependencies that we need to install here only, and we'll expose the port. Now for cmd we will use node and app.js. So this is our Docker file completed, and we would be able to first of all let's stop the file. Yeah, so now we would be able to use this Docker file. So let's make sure our Docker desktop is running in the background. It is. I will open a terminal here. Open in terminal. So also I am using WSL Windows Subsystem for Linux for my terminal, but you would be able to use any kind of terminal of your choice, or you can just install WSL from Windows Store. And to check if Docker is running correctly or not, I can just type Docker, and it will list out all the different kinds of commands that are available with Docker. So yeah, so we have Docker run, Docker exec, ps build, everything we have from here. So you can get to know a little bit about these commands. We can use run to create and run a new container from an image. We can execute a command in a running container, build a container. So yeah, so we actually want to build our container. So we are ready to go. We will just type docker and build. We need to build our image. Let me just first clear it. Yeah, so docker build, and we then need to specify the location of the image that we want to build. So we want to build the image of the current directory, so we will just enter a full stop. This will create for the current directory only, and we can tag it. We need to tag it, basically give a tag name to the image so we can use it whenever we want, or we can run it as we want. So I'll just name it app for now, or demo app for now. And when I run this command, let's see what will happen. Now when I run this command, we are seeing it is building. When I run again, docker build t, let's see what happens. Okay, so it runs. There was some kind of error with my node modules. Oh, I know what the error is, but for now just ignore the docker ignore. So we are actually able to build our image, and if we go to our docker desktop and go to images, you can see our basic app is here. Its size is 1.09 GB, which is quite a lot, but we'll talk about it later in this video only. And yeah, so our image is created. Now we want to run our image. So what is the command for it? We will use docker run, and our image name is, as we can see, tag name is demo app. So we'll just type, not here, actually here, yeah, docker run demo app. So when I do this, let's see what will happen. It's taking its time. Yeah, so it is showing server is listening on port 3000, but do the but are we actually able to to able to see it on the local host? This was the hello world that we um, got from the application when we ran it. Now if we reload it, as you can see, the local host is at 3000 is getting no data. So what happened? Now the problem is that we need to actually specify the port at which we want the image or the container to be running. So let's just close this for now, and we'll type again docker run, and we will actually specify the port. So /p to specify the port, we need to map 3000 to 3000. Okay? And we'll type demo app. So when we run this command, it is saying server listening on port 3000. So let's just check, and when I reload it, you can see hello world is here. So that means our project is running. So first of all, congratulations, you just created an image using Docker and ran that image. As you can see, it is really basic. You don't really, it's not that difficult. Now we can also see inside the Docker desktop our container, and I go to containers. So the so this was the first that we ran. We did not specify any port in our terminal. When we ran this, we did not specify any port. So uh, the container was actually running, but without any port. But the second time when we did specify the port, it is actually showing it. Okay. So uh, now there are some improvements that can be made to this Docker image. The first one, is, since the image is like really huge, do we actually need an image that is like that big? And the answer is of course not. You can change the image. You can search, go to Docker Hub, and when we go to the Docker Hub, you can search node, and when you do search node, you can see that these are node. Open this node, and these are actually all the different kinds of tag. You can go to tags, and these are all the different kinds of the node images. This is hydrogen slim. Its compressed size is 67.11 MB. Hydrogen buster, hydrogen bullseye, hydrogen bookworm, and everything. So these are all different kinds of. We will actually use the smallest one, smallest actually image. So we'll go here, and we'll change the base image. We'll see what we need to type. We need to type node Alpine 3.19. So when I copy this and open my VS Code, and in Dockerfile I will just change this one. Okay, so everything stays the same, and I'll just, for now, I'll stop these containers. Stop at this and stop this. They will stop in some time, and while that is happening, I will actually create a new build for it. So we'll type node. Let's just, yeah. So we'll type docker build tag docker build the current directory, and we'll tag it with compressed app. Okay, so this will create another image. Okay, so our build just finished. It took some time, but yeah, our new image is created. We tagged it compressed app. So we'll just go to a Docker desktop and images, and inside this we can see our compressed application is only 131.67 MBs. It is reduced from 1.09 GB to 131.67. Now you might ask, but will the application still run? Let's try this. So we'll do docker run, we'll specify the port 3000 to 3000 and we'll type compressed app. And when this runs, so it is saying server listening on port 3000. Let's just check, close 3000. I'll reload it for once, and as you can see, it is running here. So that was it for this video. If you enjoyed this video or you were able to learn something from this, please subscribe to the channel. I will try to upload similar content, and if you have any doubts related to Docker, or if you want me to create a video on some different kind of technology related to DevOps only, then I would be happy to. And yeah, so that was it, and see you in the next one.